Today I'm going to show you how I use my new Optical Spot to create a dreamy pastel beauty look with sculpted light. Hey everybody, Lindsay Adler here, and if you know my work, you know that I love control with my lighting. And in fact, one of my favorite modifiers allows me to create just tiny little beams of light, a slice of light down the subject's face or texture of light to the background. And I'm really excited because I have partnered up with Westcott to create the Optical Spot. Now this Optical Spot, what it does is it allows me to pick different gobos in different shapes and then cast those onto my subject. Now, in a lot of my work, when I've used an optical spot, it tends to be a little bit darker, more dramatic, maybe lower key, heavy, but I want to show you that there's so much more to it than that. And in this case, I'm going to create something that is brighter, a little bit more high key, dreamy, soft, feminine, very different than I think the typical perception is. And so I'm going to create this setup using 3 different strobes. So let me break it down for you. Okay, so let's actually begin with the main light. My main light is a Profoto D2 and I have the Optical Spot attached, but I'm not actually using any gobos or anything to shape the light. Instead, the Optical Spot actually has its own leaves. I can create slices of light without having to add anything. And so my very first light, what I'm looking to do is just create a little bit more of a highlight on my subject, a pocket of light on her face, if you will. So you can see right now, the Optical Spot is creating kind of a circular highlight on her torso, but I want to change that into a slice, so I'm going to narrow those leaves. Great. All right, so let's start there and take a look at what that gives us. Perfect. And then I'll just have you hold it there for all the shots. We'll try to keep it consistent. So obviously what you see here is far from dreamy, far from romantic. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a fill light. I'm going to lighten up those shadows. Give a kiss of light to the background, a kiss of light into the shadows. But to make it pastel, to make it dreamy, what I want to do is pick up some of the colors in her outfit and in the prop. So she's got this beautiful pastel pink, and so I'm going to add a pink gel. And what that'll do is it'll give that kiss of color to both the background and my subject. So we're going to add my second light. In this case, I have a large umbrella with diffusion because it's very soft and it will just throw light everywhere, nice and even and soft. Great. All right, so this is beautiful already, really soft. I love the kiss of color across, but I think I could make this shot a little bit more interesting by putting some texture of light on the background. Now, typically something that I may do would be maybe add a grid for a little bit of halo or glow, but in this case I want something with a little bit more of an environmental feel to it. And so what's unique about this setup is I am actually using a second optical spot. So I've got one as the main light and then a second one on the background. And that allows me to put that little beam of light or texture on my subject and the background. So you maybe need 2. All right, so let me tell you about the background light. So it's a D2, I've got the Optical Spot, and then what I've done is I've added a leaf gobo. And the reason I've done this is if you take that leaf gobo, the shape of the leaves, and you defocus it, it creates just a little bit of beautiful texture on the background. It looks really organic, much like you would see if light was coming through leaves on a tree. Now there's one other little twist to that background light, is that instead of using the kit lens that comes with my Optical Spot, I've actually used one of my Canon lenses. The way that we have designed the Optical Spot is that you can actually put any EF mount lens onto the spot. Now why would you want to be able to do that? The lens that we have as a kit is a longer focal length lens. And what's awesome about that is you can get these tiny little strips of light, really, really focused, really precise. However, you may want to be able to throw that light all over the background. Maybe you want to light the subject head to toe. And so in that case, you may need a wider focal length lens. And so in this case, I have a 24-70 lens. So any lens that has an EF mount, or you can get an adapter for the lenses you already have. So I've got that 24-70, I have it zoomed out, so I get a wider kiss of light on the background. All right, so let's take a look at what adding that background light does to our shot. All right, so as I have it now, you can start to see some of the edges and the outlines of the leaves, but if you don't actually want to see them that sharp, no problem. You can actually go up to the lens and you can defocus it. And same thing with the light on my subject. Right now I actually have it soft focus so that the edges of that slice of light are really gradual, but I could also change my mind and go in and sharpen it. So I have razor sharp edges to that highlight. So I love the control that you get. So I've got my 3 lights. I've got my gel filling in on her face in the background. I've got a slice of light as the main light, and I've got the texture of light in the background, but there's one more creative ingredient that I want to add, and that is introducing some creative lens and filter tools from Lens Baby Omni. So in this case, I'm using something called stretch glass. And if I put it at the edges of the frame, what it does is it blurs the frame a little bit, and it stretches the information. So it looks soft and blurry and dreamy, which is perfect in this case because I'm going for something that is dreamy and pastel. So now that I've added this effect, let's take a look at what it does to our image. Okay. So looking at this is definitely the mood I wanted. Of course, you can do it with or without these lens flare tools, but I think it adds a little bit more of a sense of environment, a little sense of dreaminess to the image. So we have all of the elements together, and now it's time to get that perfect shot. So you can see that the optical spot can do so much more than just a dramatic slice of light. It can create texture and of course can create images that are really soft and feminine and dreamy. Now, if you would like to see this setup and many more, you'll definitely want to check out my lighting recipe guide dedicated to the optical spot. And in the lighting recipe guide, I go through and I show you the distance of the lights, the power of the lights, the number of lights, the modifiers that I'm using so you can recreate that look for yourself. And if you want to see the gear used in the making of this video, be sure to check out the links in the description below or visit Adorama.com. And so I hope you love the images we create. And of course, I hope that you love the optical spot. See you next time.